All right, so we're going to look at CSS and changing fonts, text, making it look different. And so we got some new elements to learn about. There's font family, font size, font weight, font variant, line height, font style. So those elements, and we'll learn about serif versus sans serif fonts, and we'll learn about Google Fonts. We'll learn about text transform and letter spacing and word spacing and color, which is just out there on its own. It's not font-color, it's just color. And text align, text shadow, text decoration, striking text, and text indent. So there's a lot of stuff. And just giving an overview here of all the stuff, we're going to come down to the bottom. And the bottom here, and if you want to get to these lecture notes, if you're watching this online, so here's the review. You can find the lecture notes. Here's our course. The lecture notes are right at that URL. Right there. All right. And you can take the whole course on greatercommons.com, which is an awesome website. We like this website. So the ones in green are the new elements we're going to learn. Del and S will put a line through stuff. And then we have font, font family, font size, font weight, font variant, those elements. And then all kinds of different settings on each of those. So that's what we're going to see. What's the best way to do this? Structuring documents, hands-on exercises and solutions. Well, I thought there would probably be sample formatting text. It's all right there. And the code, this code is available through that course I just pointed out. So default font settings of a browser. We can just look at that. And then maybe if we do a developer tools. And when I do this, do you all know how to get there? You do? Right, so it's this developer tools thing here. More tools and developer tools, or command shift I. And so then I can look here at computed, and here are the computed rendered fonts times local file, right? And display, margin bottom, margin left. So kind of cool just to see what the browser's doing. So font family. Font family serif, we could just set it like that, and we could do font size. And we could also say font family sans serif. So the difference between a serif and a sans serif, you could Google this, and you could say best web font, best web fonts, and how to pick the best font for your website. And you can look at some of the examples, but go away. So each font gives feeling, and different fonts give different emotions. Tradition, respectability, reliable, comfort is serif. Sans serif is stability, objective, clean, modern. We have some script, boy, that's annoying, and you know, some other kinds, and so serif versus sans serif for web. Some interesting articles and examples there too. So let's just look at that one, I guess. Cool, I like this one. And serif fonts are easier to read in printed works. Sans serif fonts are better on the web. Sans serif is typeface that does not have small projecting feet. So this doesn't have feet, this does. This is serif, this is sans serif, no feet. That's what the serifs are. And then they have examples of the websites. Or they some other article, I guess. I probably have those linked. But basically it's saying, hey, if you're on the web, use sans serif. So let's just look at these notes here. See if there's anything interesting. So font family, a prioritized list of font family names, values. You could have a family name and then a generic name, and the generic names are serif, sans serif, monospace, cursive, and fantasy. And so those are just the generic names, but in front of that you could have the specific names. And we just saw what serif versus sans serif is. And maybe this is the article with the pictures. Oh yeah, I like these pictures. So here's the web, right? And that's using a serif, serif, serif on books, sans serif on book, sans serif on book. Just checking that. Serif. Sans serif. So font size. Most browsers use default font size of 16 pixels. You should know that already. And for font size, you could set, and all of this stuff, like, you should get used to looking in MDN font size. Like, you should get used to like seeing this and reading this. Like, how do I do this? All right, you could read this, and setting the font size may change the size of other items since it is used to compute the value of M and X length units. So different units. So you could do absolute values. You could do relative, smaller or larger. You could do length values, 12 pixels, 0.8 M. Percentages, 80%. And here are the values, larger, smaller. Length percentage is the length data type or the percentage value. Percentage values refer to the parent's elements font size, so give me a percentage of that. M's, rims, so we'll learn about those. So there's serif, sans serif, and sizes. And then here's like a whole font family. This is the first one we're looking at. Like, give me bitstream, vera, sans mono, and sans serif. And so while we're looking at font family, I'm going to show you Google Fonts. How many people have never heard of Google Fonts? Raise your hand. Okay, this is so awesome. I'm going to blow your minds. You ready? So Google Fonts are the free best fonts in the world. And you can say, here, show me what's trending or show me what's popular. Here are the most popular fonts in the world. Maybe I only want sans serif. And Roboto, one of the most popular fonts ever, right? It's like the most popular font, Roboto. And I say, okay, I want to use that. Or I say, no, I want to use something handwriting. And so here's the most popular, but I could go with like trending. And I could look at like, oh, that's kind of cool. But maybe my message was the sky was cloudless and a deep dark blue. And so I could then take that and I could put that there and apply to all fonts. And now I could see that same text in all fonts. So if I had a certain phrase or something, what's that phrase going to look like in those different fonts? And permanent marker is actually pretty neat. I'm liking permanent marker. So I click this plus sign. And one of the first things I could do is I could just download this to my computer. And then unzip it. And here's the TrueType font. And I could install that on my computer. So just installed on my computer, permanent marker. And now if I open up Photoshop, I have that font available. And I could work with it. But on the web, if I want to use it on the web, instead of downloading it, I could customize. There's no other options. Sometimes there's options for different weights. I get this link right here, and I put this into my code. I drop this link in, and I link to main, and I could do that H1 make your own reality, and I could do body, HTML body, H1, padding 0, content, padding 0, border 0, margin 0, and then I could do body and height, 100 viewport heights, display, flex, and justify content, center, and align items, center, and background. Let me go find it first. That's what I want. That's good. And then here, font family, right? I need to include this right here, font family, permanent marker, cursive. So there's the specific one. Let's look at it. Oh, color white. And at H1, font size, like 10 rem. And width, 70 VW. I think this could be interesting. Cool, right? And maybe text, align, center. And maybe line height 0.5. Line height 5 pixels, I don't know. Don't need more than that. Cool, eh? And I think the color should be like this orange. And maybe text shadow. And there's a couple settings on that, I think, but we'll just do black. And let's say I don't remember how to use text shadow, which I don't. Text shadow MDN. Yeah, offset X, offset Y, blur radius, and color. So offset X, let's come over 10 pixels on the x-axis, and we'll come down 10 pixels on the y-axis, and we'll blur it by 10 pixels, and then we'll have it be black. It's pretty cool, right? I mean, like, we're not far from like, okay, I don't know, that's good for my little skate shop. Of course, now we got to wire in the ability to sell stuff online, but that's a nice little start. And why does that graphic work? And just talk about graphic design for a second. Why does that graphic work? What, anything about it that works for you? Just what's your thoughts on it?
The colorfulness of it. Yeah.
All the angles are pointing you towards the message.
Yeah.
Hand is pointing away, but it's dark, but that angle brings you in. Skateboard brings you in. That hand brings you in. He's looking at it. It's like, look at this message. What doesn't work about that picture is like his butt's to your face, but that's the nature of the sport. So let's see what else there is. I think this is a good stopping point for just font. How far did we get? We got to font family in Google Fonts. We'll stop there.